What's up, everybody? It's Goobums, and I'm back with another video today. If you haven't heard yet already, Riot's actually shipping out one of the biggest patches of all time, probably, definitely one of the biggest system patches of all time. At least in my memory, I can't even think of like the last system change that kind of impacted the game as much as these ones have. And if you haven't heard about it already, I'm going to be talking about it in this video. And just like a quick reminder that, if you like this type of content, feel free to like and subscribe the video and follow me on Twitch and Twitter, also at guubums. And I guess without further ado, let's get into the video. So in case you guys haven't heard what the system changes are, just a quick kind of like what they are is they're changing the headliner, streaks, combat ties, and one of the craftable emblems. So the big one's going to be about the streaks, but the headliner one is also really important. So right now there's a hidden mechanic with headliners that if the total number of headliners in the pool that are taken out of the pool exceed half, then nobody in the game can kind of like see any of those headliners in their shop. So what that means is that like for a 4 cost, the total pool of 4 costs of any given 4 costs in the pool is 10. So if there's 5 out already, if there's 6 out already, then nobody will be able to see a headliner of that specific unit in any of their shops. So this was to prevent like anyone having like say having a fully upgraded unit and then having like a random chosen. Let's just say I have 3 Aries and then I have like a Thresh chosen. And then I have 2 Aries on bench, so for a total of 5 Aries. I sell my Thresh, and then I look for an Ari chosen. And once I have the Ari chosen, I have 8 total Aries. And then once you have 8 total Aries, it's pretty easy to hit Ari3 because you just need your 9th copy. Either you have like a Nico, or you just find the 9th copy naturally. Because what was happening is that if you guys are familiar, in set 4, the chosen mechanic, very similar to the headliner mechanic, we developed this kind of like strategy back then, is that like, pretty much to win any game, you were supposed to amass 5 of any copies of like a unit, and then you sell your chosen, and you just look for the chosen of the unit where you've amassed 5 copies of, and then you just, obviously upgrade your unit into a 3-star and win the game that way. Pretty much they had to remove that somehow, because in PvE we were still doing this like a little bit too often. First they tried to work with the bag sizes. So for those of you who don't know, 5 costs got their bag size drop from 10 to 9. 4 costs got their bag size drop from 12 to 10, and 3 costs got their bag sizes drop from 18 to 17, I believe. As for, maybe it's honestly 16, I'm not entirely sure, but pretty much point is it made it a lot tougher to hit those, especially when you are contested. More essentially impossible to hit those if you're contested. But now they've made up a different solution to it. So now it's like, first of all, there's no hidden mechanics behind 1, 2, and 3 costs. So actually, this hidden mechanic that we're talking about, you would think that it kind of like affects 4 costs the most, but I guess in practice what we realized was that it was really affecting the 3 costs way too much. Because like, say I'd be trying to play some Yone reroll. In fact, yesterday I was playing some Yone reroll, and then what would happen is that like, obviously people are playing Heartsteel, so they're holding any random Yones, or they're playing Edgelords, or they're just playing random stuff, random Yone on their board, and they just have Yones. And even though I have like 3, maybe 5 Yones, 6 Yones, I can't hit the Yone headliner in my shop just because it wasn't possible. And oftentimes like I wouldn't know that it wasn't possible, because like you'd have to scout pretty rigorously to figure that out. At the highest level, people were scouting this, but especially at the lower levels, people would roll sometimes upwards of 100 gold, and they would never be able to find the headliner that they want, right? Worse yet is that what would happen is that if you had a chosen Yone in your shop, or sorry, if someone else in the lobby had a chosen Yone in their shop, it would count towards 3 Yones being out of the pool, and I wouldn't know it, right? Because I don't have information on what other people's shop look like. So because they're taking 3 out of the pool, and I have literally no way of finding that out, I would be rolling 10, 20, 30, even once again upwards of 100 gold, and I would not be able to find a Yone in my shop, or the Yone chosen in my shop, and I wouldn't be able to hit my 3-star, and obviously that would be really, really painful. Oftentimes like you just chalk that up to RNG, but like knowing that can happen in a game is obviously really frustrating. So they're changing that now. They made it also so that like it doesn't count other people's. So it says here 4 cost headliners can't show up if you own more than 4 copies of a champ. It only adjusted the rule based on like what you have now. So instead of like what other people have in their shop kind of affecting what you have, beyond the like the baseline, they're taking them out of the bag. You can still see the chosen in your shop, but it is obviously less likely if they're taking them out of the pool, right? Now onto the bigger change is the streak changes that you have to hit higher streaks to hit gold now. So the 2 to 3 streak got moved to 3 to 4. So the big one for everybody at the highest level is thinking the same thing, is that the big one for this is that 2 streaks no longer exist. So 2 streaks are actually responsible for a lot of your early game gold on stage 2 as it builds upon your econ. Obviously, like 1 gold early on will help you make 10 faster. Making 10 faster obviously makes 20 faster, and so forth and so on until you eventually make it up to 50, where econ no longer matters as much because you're hitting the max econ breakpoint, right? So pretty much these changes, 2 gold obviously requiring a 5 streak now, and 3 gold requiring a 6 streak, which obviously extends past like 1 full stage. So if you win streak all of stage 2, you actually have to win 3-1 to start getting that 3 gold per turn from streak. We just think that like these changes are going to lower the amount of gold in the game dramatically, and there's not going to be that many system changes that are going to reflect that. So I'll go a little bit deeper into it in just a moment, but there's going to be a lot of things about the tempo of the game that's going to reflect some of these changes that players are going to have to get adjusted to. The main thing just being that like people are often going to be a lot poorer, and streak is just going to be a lot less important. So I'll talk about that later. Next, we have combat ties. If player ties in any way, the result is that both players take damage as if it were a loss, and then both players' streak is reset to 0. So what this means really is just it was combating the open fort problem, where 2 people would open fort. You had a 50-50 chance of being able to keep your loss streak, and you know, it's complete random. Honestly, a little bit not that cool if you were the person to kind of like win that round and lose your streak. You'd obviously lose a lot of money for that. So they're making a hardline rule about that now, so that if 2 people are tying, then both people just lose their streak. And then finally, Jazz is now uncraftable and Country is craftable. So anyways, the main takeaway from this is just really about the streak change, and I'm going to be talking about that, I guess, right now. So I have this little document. Okay, so just like kind of like to outline what this really means in practice on stage 2. So streak changes, large and away, are going to be most important for your stage 2, because obviously stage 2 once again is where you start building up your econ. Gold on the early stages of the games is going to be much stronger than gold at the late stages of the game, which is why if you ever hear a streamer or high elo player talk about something like a gold opener, it's something they often like complain about, because they find that there's like it's just like strict imbalance about the game that shouldn't really exist, right? Like someone getting 12 gold on 2-1 versus another person getting 6. You have to understand that like gold in general accumulates at a value of like gold plus 1/10 of gold per turn, right? So 12 gold generates you 1.2 gold per turn roughly, and 6 gold generates you 0.6 gold per turn, right? So turn after turn, they're actually getting like 0.6 gold more, more than 0.6 gold per turn every turn. So what that means is that like pretty much early game gold is just worth so much more, that the reason why streak was so powerful is because if you maintain a really strong streak, you are obviously getting to that 30, 40, 50 gold mark faster, and you'd find that like it's a lot easier to get to that 50 gold mark a lot faster if you say you open for it, because obviously you're playing no units on your board, which obviously removes the need for having a lot of econ, as well as you are maintaining your loss streak. And if we see in the old changes, the loss streak after on 3-1 provides you with 10 gold, or I should say after Crocs, but provides you with 10 gold, whereas like obviously a lot of these streaks are providing you with a lot less. Loss win, most notably the worst streak in the game that you could possibly have, provides you with 2 gold after Crocs, which is like pretty brutal. You get no streak at any point, and you're just getting the 2 gold off winning 2 rounds, which obviously every round win gives you 1 gold. So if you notice with these, like pretty much across the board, all types of streaks after Krugs are going to be losing like 3 to 4 gold. And, you know, me saying like 3 to 4 gold probably doesn't sound like it's a lot, but if you think about it, like you're normally, the 3 to 4 gold is like, instead of getting, mind you, like some of this gold is drip gold, right? So instead of like, say you're at 17 on like 2-1, or sorry, on like 2-3, instead of making 20, you just won't be able to do it. You can full sell everything you have on your board and you still won't be able to make 20. So that's another gold loss, right? So like, sure, it might say 4, 3, 4, 2 gold on some of these, right? But what that actually accumulates to by Krugs is already like oftentimes like 5, 6, 7 gold. And then that 5, 6, 7 gold often balloons up even much further when you start rolling. Generally, people are rolling on 4-2. And mind you, like if you're rolling on 4-2, oftentimes you're level 8 on 4-2, or you're level 7 on 3-5, level 6 on 3-2. When you level to 6 on 3-2, you'll probably, much more often like lose a breakpoint. So say you're leveling on 6 on 3-2, say you're like 52 gold, it costs 12 to gold to level, you drop down to 40, you've lost 1 gold, right? However, after the new changes, you might find yourself at like let's just say a random number 47 gold, and you drop down to 35 gold, you lose 1 gold that turn, but then you also lose another gold next turn when once again you can't make it back up to 50 yet. And then pretty much point of gold is that like it balloons so fast in TFT, and people often don't understand exactly how much gold you're really losing when you kind of like drop below certain econ breakpoints. TFT has been really neat so far, such that like all the econ breakpoints you make kind of like really help you making the next one. It's just like there's a standard cadence to it that just really I guess is really neat. This kind of like breaks up a little bit of that neatness. So yeah, you're just going to be losing a lot more gold now, and there's just going to be a lot less gold in the game. And what does that actually mean, right? It's like, one, gold openers, so either the 12 gold or the 18 gold opener is going to be a lot stronger now. And mind you, in the 12 gold and 18 gold opener, oftentimes you can make an extra gold on 1-3 and 1-4 by full selling your board and making either the 10 gold or the 20 gold econ breakpoints, which already net you an extra 1 to 2 gold on those turns, which once again, as we talked about before, matters a lot as you get into like the later stages of the game. But so those openers are going to be much stronger now, and those are going to be like the openers you really have to take advantage of, because obviously they're a lot rarer than your standard 6 gold opener. So yeah, got to keep that in mind. And another, I guess, like really obvious thing is that the value of econ augments goes way up. So this is going to be stuff like Rich Get Richer, you know, just gives you a bunch of money up front. Three's Company gives you 12 gold worth of 3 costs, gives you 4 3 costs. It's not quite as good as Rich Get Richer, just because Rich Get Richer does have a little bit of that added benefit, but because it gives you stuff like units that you could use potentially to either establish your board, or perhaps like, you know, using something like Heartsteel, getting access to something like Heartsteel in the form of Yone or Set, this could be a really strong augment. Otherwise, stuff like Patient Study, Clear and Cluttered Mind, Shopping Spree, March of Progress, all of these are going to be really strong augments, because they allow you to, I guess, like reach this tempo that you're probably very used to already, is that you go level 8 on 4-2, and you start rolling for your 4-cost chosen. The thing is that like with the new gold changes, you will find that this is pretty much impossible now, bar gold opener or like an econ opener start. So pretty much like if you have access to these econ openers, you should definitely be looking towards it. Even stuff like Cruel Pact, I don't know exactly how good that'll be, because like especially on the current patch, Cruel Pact is not very strong. You might find these augments to be a lot stronger, and these are augments that you definitely have to be trying out. I think a lot of the high elo players are definitely thinking like, as soon as I see Patient Study, Clear or Cluttered Mind, like I'm going to be taking that, and it doesn't matter what my other augments are, because this will give me access to a style of play that other people in the lobby will simply not have access to, right? Because if you're down like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9 gold after Krugs, based on, you know, some of these numbers and like econ breakpoints made, then they literally will not be able to level to 8 on 4-2 and have like 20 gold to be able to buy like their chosen, as well as like a couple other units on 4-2, right? So they'll be doing it on 4-5. And as we know, you're getting a huge advantage if you get to do your level 8 roll down on 4-2, because you're also accessing the units before other people. So if like, say I'm playing around Kate Chosen, which is like one of the stronger Chosens in the current patch, if I take Kate Chosen as well as 3 other Kates out of the pool, then anyone playing around Kate Chosen in the lobby will pretty much not have any access to Kate. Not only will they like, well, now they'd be able to find the Chosen again, so that's possible, but it's just the likelihood that they can get one has gone down by, you know, 60-70%, and that's really drastic. And then another thing is that like, because you won't be able to get to upgraded 4 costs until later into the game, just because like people are reaching level 8 later, then what that also means is that 2 and 3 costs 2 stars are going to be a lot stronger. And what that also means is that if 2 and 3 costs 2 stars are a lot stronger, that likely means rerolls a lot stronger, right? Because what that means is that on level 6, for example, in the current patch, Jax is the most obvious one, but on level 6, say I roll down for a Jax 2 and a fully upgraded Jax 2 board, people will not start eclipsing my strength, because one, they're not necessarily rolling for their comp yet as until 4-2, because they're greeting until 4-2, but also they'll have to wait longer until they can actually access the units that allow them to eclipse my comp, right? So that being said, I think Jax is going to be really weak next patch, so that's just an example. But another example, say Yone and Riven. Like, I can have a Yone 2 on 3-5 level 7, or 4-1 level 7, maybe a Riven 2 as well, and if I have 3 items on them because I'm looking to reroll these comps, then these carries going to be really strong heading into later stages of the game, and people will not be able to, you know, beat me down with their Ezreal 2 or Ari 2, Blitzcrank 2, all these 2-star 4 costs that you're used to seeing on 4-2, right? So that makes these reroll setups much stronger. Certain other I guess changes in the patch I'll be talking about in a new video will make certain comps a lot stronger. So like, you're gonna see stuff like Vex 3 pop out a lot more, because they're buffing both 4 Executioner and 2 Emo. Once again, the gold change is gonna be like kind of like increase the value of these upgraded 3 costs in the mid game. So these comps are just gonna be a lot stronger. I will be releasing comps video after this, but yeah, so you guys are gonna have to wait for that. And then once again, full open is probably never worth it again, just because like after the streak changes, plus like it's even less consistent now, because if 2 people are full opening, you guys both lose. So you not only do the streaks give less gold, you're less likely to be able to full streak, just because if someone does it, then it's like it's not even a 50-50, it's just a 0%. So that means instead of a 16% chance that you don't get to keep your streak and a 1 in 3, it's just a 33% chance that you don't get to keep your streak, which obviously that's a lot of gold, right? And then finally, with the Jazz Spat no longer being craftable, it actually hits the fast 9 pretty hard, just because the Jazz Spat was the best spat to build if like you got it dropped a random spat late into the game, and either you could not play around it because like the comp you're playing doesn't really play around it. Most notably is like country. Obviously country after the change will be really good because you'll be able to make a country spat. But like say you're playing around a comp that doesn't really use spats, you can make a Jazz Spat because like it's pretty easy to fit in Jazz with Lucian, MF, or Bard, depending on like which one you need, and then just for like a strong 2 trait that gives you some sort of value. And 2 Jazz was really, really strong. It's a lot less specific now, so sorry, it's a lot more specific now, so you have to like think of other options. The fast 9 options, probably the best one is going to be Pentakill, just because that allows you to play York around York Gnar, which gives you Marshall right away, and York is obviously a 5 cost, so it's really, really strong. Otherwise you can still play TD and KDA. KDA is probably not something I'd be like too, I guess, like focused on, just because if you're playing around a Kali, KDA Kali in the late game, it's pretty easy to fit in KDA regardless, just because the units kind of like blend together really nicely. Otherwise, like it's not something I'd be, you know, all too interested in. And then once again, TD is like often like fairly generic on level 9 anyway, just because once again, it's a 2-piece, so Kiana's already a 5 cost. It's really easy to access that true damage in the late game anyway. But if you want to go for TD, you can go Echo, Senna, Kiana. You get half a Sentinel, half a Rapid Fire, and then you also get Kiana. Half a Rapid Fire is really easy. Lucian's getting buffed, so you'll see a lot more Lucian in the late game. So Senna Lucian obviously gives you Rapid Fire. Echo plus any Sentinel obviously gives you Sentinel, right? So those are the spats you're going to be really looking out for. But the one that's going to give you the most value most likely will now be Pentakill. As for like standard level 8 comps, it's going to be really dependent on what you play. They are nerfing TD spat, so like you shouldn't be too excited about TD spat anymore. Maybe we won't know until we try it out, but yeah, that's just going to be something that you're going to have to take a look at. But honestly, this change is really just one of the biggest changes of all time. So learning how to play around these like new gold values, especially until Riot like kind of like realizes how much gold they took out of the game, will be really, really important, right? So just until they make changes, or until like I guess like we figure out the patch a little bit further, just be really, really cognizant of like a lot of the econ augments. I would personally just be snap taking these on 1-2 or on 2-1 every single game, pretty much. It even makes a certain 3-2 augment stronger, misconnections, teaming up. They removed one of the teaming ups from 3-2 because it was a little bit too strong, teaming up gold. But there's a lot of options on 3-2 that still give you a lot of money that you should be thinking about. Even something like Tiny Titans, which gives you 30 HP, oftentimes that 30 HP converts into gold. So think about using that as like a gold augment, an econ augment on 3-2 that allows you to, I guess, scale further into the late game. Yeah, and that's all for this video. I will once again be releasing a comps video that follows up on the rest of the patch later this week, hopefully, you know, right on patch day or something like that. And yeah, once again, if you liked the video or enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube. So peace.